Hello, good day and welcome back. So today we're looking at the Engwe E26 electric e-bike. Now this bike is big in scale and in grandeur, but not big in price. So stick around to find out why. Now first thing about this bike, when I first discovered it, it didn't look this big on the website. When I spoke to Engwe about looking at the next range of e-bikes, the E26 looked like a kind of like adventurous touring bike out of the range of e-bikes they have. But I didn't realize it was going to be this big in scale. This thing is absolutely gigantic. Now the size of this bike is 194.5 centimeters in length and in height 120 centimeters. So this is for big riders. So if you're a short person, you might want to look at something different. Now the bike frame is made out of a 6061 aluminum alloy, which means it is rust resistant and lightweight. But it is an e-bike, so it does have some weight to it. Now one thing I need to say about this e-bike is when it turned up, I didn't realize it would be an absolute monster truck in scale. I was like, whoa! Now the goal is for today to really demonstrate the versatility of this bike. I'm going to be visiting one of my local pubs in the UK, a little bit of a brew, and kind of give it all different types of conditions. A little bit of off-road, a little bit of road, a little bit of urban, and a little bit of mixed terrain. So a little bit of everything to kind of demonstrate the versatility of this e-bike and where does it sit in your day-to-day arsenal. So let's get straight on the road. Now one thing that's really interesting about the sheer scale of this e-bike is its enormous, massive AT tyres. Now these are 26 inches by 4 inches wide, which means they are just gonna ride over absolutely anything you can think of. Off-road, trails, dusty, wherever you want, mud, this thing will ride over everything. One thing I want to notice about is the tread. There are a lot of gaps in the tread, and from my experience of Engwe bikes, that the tread it's not dense enough for me. So when it gets a bit wet, a bit more gravelly, that traction can be a little bit more concerning. So you need to be aware of the traction of your wheels on your e-bike. Another thing as well, the wall is quite thin. It's not as thick as I would want it to be. So one thing I would like to see Engwe do would maybe upgrade the tyres a little bit, make them a little bit thicker and improve on that tread pattern. But other than that, the sheer size of these wheels, you're riding over literally everything. Now after that little AT trail riding, I need to highlight the front and seat suspension on this bike, which is adjustable and you can lock the front suspension on the bike. Now first time riding this bike, I was a little bit thrown off with the concept of a seat that has suspension in it. It's the first time I've ever ridden a bike with that feature in it. But I tell you one thing, this setup with the front suspension and the suspension in the seat is softer than my office chair, and I'm not even lying. This is one of the most softest, most comfortable e-bikes I have ridden. And after riding that little bit of AT riding, I feel nice and refreshed. I don't feel bumpy, I feel soft, controlled, and it's a really comfortable ride. One thing to say about the E26 is that it's a very comfortable ride for sure. Now being more in an urban setting, this is where braking is super important. You're getting those higher speeds, you're going a bit faster, and you're going to need to be able to stop. This is where the front hydraulic 18 centimeter disc brake comes into play. And now it does lock you up really nicely, but it isn't too aggressive where you're going to skid out. You have that control, they have that spectrum to really have control and stop if you need to. Now this bike is de-restricted out of the box. It only goes up to 15.5 miles an hour, which is the UK regulation, but you can do a couple combinations, which I'm sure you can look up for yourself to unlock its full potential. Now this bike has a nice top end, about 25-30 miles an hour depending on your conditions, with a bit of pedal assist, but it's not too powerful that it's going to attract that extra attention for yourself. Now the gearing for this bike has a 7-gear system, but as I've said in previous reviews, I seem to find with an e-bike you kind of leave it in the 7th or highest gearing to give you that little bit of extra oomph off the line. Now for me, I only leave these EVs in the highest mode with maximum power at all times to really demonstrate what these e-mobility bikes can do. Now if you did have this in the lowest assisted mode, this will go on for absolutely ever. Now the battery where that's paired with this bike, I'm normally getting about the 25 to 30 mile range only in the maximum mode and only throttling. I know it seems a bit lazy, but you do get an e-bike to kind of assist you or to take it over pedaling in its entirety. Now I have had this bike for a little bit of a while now. I've taken that for loads of different kinds of adventures, and it has that suitable amount of power and range to get you wherever you need to go, within a 25-30 mile radius of your living conditions. With the electric motor, the top speed about 25 to 30 miles an hour, That 7-speed gearbox. It gives you all the versatility you need to get you up to those top speeds. But if you do want to be a bit more energy efficient, you can gear it down lower, change those gears, and be a bit economical and get more range. But for me, I'm all about power. Now, the battery that is paired with this bike is a very suitable 48 volt 16 amp hour removable battery, which I really like that it's built into the stem of the bike, but it's also accessible. So it looks like a normal bike. It is massive. It's definitely a big old bike, and you can tell it's an e-bike. But having the battery built sleek into the stem of the bike gives it a very flush and very almost minimal design, which I'm a real big fan of. But the battery that's paired with this bike is very suitable, and for the purpose of this bike, I wouldn't want anything different. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the bike's LED display, which is super clear. Now, it is very, very, very bright today, but you can still see the information that you can see. It gives you the speed mode, the range, and the top speed, and also the remaining battery. It is very clean. Look, it's very, very thin though. Look how thin that is. It's a very, very thin display, but it gives all the information you need without distracting you at all times, which I'm a big fan of. But I really like this display. It's one of the better ones I've seen from Engwe so far. So we've made it to the end goal of my review of the Engwe E26 electric bike. Now, one thing is to clarify, this is actually the 250 watt version. Now, upon summary, it highlights things I'd improve about this bike. Now, one of the highlights for me is the sheer comfort and control of this bike. Being at an elevated high position means that you can ride this with confidence, knowing that you can tackle all terrain, and I mean literally all terrain. I was hopping up curbs, jumping down curbs, off-road, urban, environment, anything you really need. But the highlight of this bike is its sheer scale. That is also one of its potential negatives. It is for the taller rider. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and I can just about have control of this bike. So this is literally on the borderline of an average size person in relation to height, but it does give you loads of clearance underneath. So if you're a shorter rider, this might be a little bit more difficult for you to ride. Now, the price point of this bike is priced just under £1,300. And what do you get for that money? In my opinion, you get a lot of high quality parts, high clearance suspension system, and a very comfortable ride. Now, with my discount code, it does bring that down a little bit, but there's a lot of bike for your money here. So if you're looking for kind of like an true all-terrain larger bike with comfort in mind, this might be the one for you. And with that battery built into the stem of the bike, it is a very sleek and very nice design. And personally, I think the yellow is absolutely sick. So if there's any other products you want us to review on the channel, please put a comment in the description below. We'll check out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.